For this video, I really wanted to talk about why you feel behind in life. I'm not offering any solutions, so if that's why you're here, good luck. But this might give you an insight as to why you have that nagging feeling of inadequacy that kind of just hovers somewhere in this general area. So I think a large part of this feeling comes again from the way that we were raised, as can be said for pretty much any other deeply rooted trait. I was raised in a household where if you got a B, you were asked why you didn't get an A. And if you got an A, you were asked why you didn't get an A plus. And if you got an A plus, you were asked, why didn't you just do that earlier? It was fun. It wasn't fun, that was a joke. But I also didn't do very well in school. Personally, I almost failed high school. That's another story for another time. But I almost failed high school. I had my teachers telling me that I should consider GED programs and things like that because there was no way I was going to graduate on time. So I think this feeling of being behind, again, one comes from your upbringing. And the reason that manifests is because you're constantly comparing your results to this imaginary standard that you have set for yourself. Honestly, that could be the whole video right there. But it won't be. So when you set these standards for yourself, it's good to have standards, right? Like I'm not gonna talk bad about standards. It's how people improve, it's how people gauge their productivity, it's how people gauge their progress, and it's how people figure out if they're moving in the right direction. Standards are fantastic. I love standards. I'm all about standards. But sometimes you have to evaluate your standards and see if they're reasonable for where you are in life and see if they're reasonable for what you're doing in life. Because sometimes you're using standards, think about it this way, right? You're in high school. You're playing soccer in high school. This is me, by the way. This was me. You're playing soccer in high school. You play as a striker. And you want to make it to the pros. And you see that there's some kind of statistic that says that most professional strikers take 20 shots on goal. This is a ridiculous number. Take 20 shots on goal in a game. What that really means is I don't know, what's an American, basketball, right? So it's like if you're a basketball player, it's like the top performing point guards score 40 points a game. So you're in high school, if I'm not scoring 40 points a game as the point guard, I'm failing as a point guard, that I'm not gonna reach my goals. And to a certain degree, you might be right, to be perfectly honest. But you also have to think about the fact that who are these point guards that you're comparing yourself to? Are you comparing yourself to the best point guards of all time? Notice how I stay generic because I don't know basketball like that. Are you comparing yourself to the Cristiano Ronaldos? Are you comparing yourself to the Ronaldos, the Ronaldinhos? Are you comparing yourself to the best of the best? It's good to do that, right? Because that's how you can emulate them. Learning from the best is how you become the best. Emulating the best is how you become the best. But at the same time, you're in high school, right? You're in high school, dude. You need to relax a little bit and just focus on your fundamentals. Just get your fundamentals in check. Because if you're taking 40 shots on goal, but those shots aren't well placed, you're kicking right at the goalie every single match. Or you're taking 40 shots on goal, but those shots are from ridiculous angles. You're not even in the final third. You're at half field and you're just booting it, right? Then your fundamentals aren't in line with what your goals are. You're hitting the numbers, but your methodology is flawed. So if you feel behind in a certain area of your life, you probably need to take a step back and evaluate what your methodology is. Why do you have the standard for yourself? First, evaluate why you have the standard for yourself. What is your why? If you want to become the best striker of all time, That's your why. When you wake up 3 in the morning to go practice, the why in your mind, the thing that drives you to wake up every single morning is, I want to be the best striker in the world, right? If your standard is that you want to score, was it 36, I think is the highest score possible on the ACT, why? Why do you want a 36? Do you want to get into an Ivy League school? Do you want to get a job that requires that you go to an Ivy League school? Why do you want that job? What do you want out of that? Is it bragging rights? That could be a perfectly valid reason. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna front. I mean, I've done things just for bragging rights before. Is it because you want to be able to support your family? Then supporting your family is your why. It's not getting the 36. It's not getting into that Ivy League school. It's not waking up at 3 a.m. None of that is your why. None of that is your motivation. Your motivation is the underlying fact that you want to be able to support for your family. And there's multiple ways to support your family. If you're making enough money to support your family financially, some people are satisfied with that. But for some people, it doesn't stop there, right? So everyone's different. Let's say you're making $100,000 a year and you have one kid and a wife who has their own, set of income. So let's say annually you're making $180,000 a year, you have one child. That might not be enough for you, because what if your standard is that you want to be able to send your kid, debt-free, you want to be able to pay off their college tuition debt-free, and you want to send to the most expensive college in the world. So what your standards are entirely dictates how you feel about your stage in life. And that sounds obvious, but I think people don't always think about that. And people don't always realize that that's what they're doing as well. So going back to the original example, if your why is that you want to support your family, you want to be able to provide for your family, then identify what that means to you. What does providing for your family mean? Does that mean getting them into a good school? Does that mean teaching them how to take care of themselves so that when you're old and shriveled and in a retirement home or whatever it may be, that they can take care of themselves and you don't have to worry about them? Does that just mean that they get through high school and then they're on their own and they can figure things out on themselves? What does supporting mean? Like, you need to be able to answer these questions, because if you don't have answers, then you're just going to be stuck in this perpetual cycle of it's not enough, I need more, I need more, I need more. And you don't even know what more is for. You don't even know what it is that you're working for. I think that when you feel behind in life, there's 3 things you need to do. So 1, identify the areas you feel behind in. 2, figure out your why in those areas. Why do you feel behind? What are the things that you feel are holding you back, right? What are the areas that you feel like you can improve on? Because once you identify those things, then you can actually break that down and create actionable steps. If you want to make $10 million, how are you going to do that? If you're working a 9-to-5 job, more than likely you're not going to make $10 million. I don't care how much you're making in your 9-to-5. If you're working a 9-to-5 and that's your only source of income, and your why is that I want to make $10 million so that I can launch a Tesla into space like Elon Musk, good luck, right? You have a better chance of becoming friends with Elon Musk and having him just launch your car into space for you than getting that $10 million. You understand? You need to set goals for yourself that you can achieve step by step. You need to be able to break those things down, right? So that's the 3rd step. So first step is identify the areas that you feel behind in. Second step is to create actionable steps and basically figure out what is your why. Why do you feel that you're behind in these areas? Third thing is to create steps that allow you to achieve those goals. So what this can look like is, a goal of mine is that I want to buy my first investment property. Why do I want to buy my first investment property? Because I want more freedom in my choices. I want more freedom in my day-to-day life. And the way for me to do that is there's two main ways. I can increase my income or I can lower my expenses. Thank God, I'm in this condo where I'm not paying ridiculous amounts in rent every month. I have a mortgage and assessment, stuff like that. But if I can pay less per month on my mortgage while potentially having some kind of cash flow, as well as having, appreciation for my investment property and tax advantages, things like that, that's slowly moving me towards my goal. So what are the steps that I can take to buy my investment property? Well, first thing is I want to sell my condo so that I have the lump sum cash on hand so that I can make a down payment on a property. Okay, so what do I have to do that? I need to find a listing agent who can sell my property for me. I need to do repairs and add value to the condo so that I can sell it at a higher price. Thankfully, it's a seller's market right now, so I shouldn't have much issue selling my property, right? There's plenty of other steps that go after that. I've done research about the markets and areas that I can buy in. What does a cash flowing property look like? What kind of property am I looking for? But if I just told myself I want freedom and I never dug into why I wanted that and I never found steps that I could take to achieve that, then I'd just be sitting here with my hand in my head like, oh man, financial freedom, here's this big fake guru myth that people keep trying to sell me online. Like, I'm not actually working towards that. I'm just thinking about it. You need to be able to break things down into small, digestible pieces so that you don't get overwhelmed. That's something that I've learned over time. It's something that I'm currently going through right now. Wow, that was disgusting. Excuse me for that. But I hope that this has been somewhat helpful. If you have any questions about the process, please feel free to just ask me, because again, I'm brand new to this and I don't necessarily know if what I'm saying makes any sense at all to anyone. So let me know. Yeah, I'd love to know. Anyway, I'll leave you with that, and yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your night.